Hi everybody, how are you all? This is Shailesh, a global leader and the mightiest leader on planet Earth. I consider myself as a leader greater than Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or Warren Buffett or Bill Gates, or anybody for that matter. Mr. Shailesh is the mightiest leader ever produced on planet Earth and a living legend. I consider myself a living legend. So I say this? Because I can do magic, I can do wonders, I can pump the economies, I can jump the economies, and I can do the impossible possible. So basically, I'm a global leader, a global CEO, and chairman and managing director for three companies. Basically, the two of them are SKG Ventures, which is headquartered at Ahmedabad, and another is S Infrabuild, which is also headquartered in Ahmedabad. And I'm the CMD, CEO, and managing director for these companies. So these are very exponentially growing companies. These are exponentially growing companies, which are right now small cap companies. And as you know, there is no limit. The sky is the limit for small cap companies to grow. They grow exponentially. They become mid caps, pan India presence, and then they become large caps, just like companies like Reliance Industries, TCS, all these companies, which are now like a banyan tree, which is some 50 years old or 40 years old. And the growth in those companies can't be exponential, but for smaller companies like SKG Ventures and S Infrabuild can be humongous. And that is the reason the government is also providing all benefits, incentives under PLI, Profit Linked Incentive Scheme, where the smaller players are allowed to become mid-cap companies, and mid-cap companies are allowed to become large-cap companies, and large-cap companies further are allowed to become ultra-large giga companies. Giga companies, yeah. Okay. And regarding my professional experience, I would like to share that I have 30 years of rich experience as a mechanical engineer, and I started my career with MRPL, Mangalore Refineries and Petrochemical Limited. I worked at Nariman Point, Mumbai, NCA at MRPL in head office. There I was into purchase and contracts department, which gave me a very broad vision of what India is able to do under project execution, project management. Under project management, what India can do? India can do wonders. We have such type of contractors like L&T, a truly multinational company like L&T, which is doing the engineering, procurement, and construction business in more than 80 countries. And I have an opportunity and pleasure of meeting L&T chairman Mr. A.M. Nayak. Mr. A.M. Nayak, who is a veteran now, but still he is chairman L&T, and I was highly impressed by the pay package he received. Was around 200 or 250 crores in all inclusive in terms of ESOP and salary and base and bonus, dividends. 250 crores per annum. So I think he is the highest paid CEO as far as Indian CEO or a chairman is concerned under professional leadership. A company managed professionally. So then from MRPL, after 5 years, I moved to Reliance Petroleum Jamnagar, which is now Reliance Industries Limited, under the able leadership of Mukesh Ambani ji. Excuse me. So then at Reliance, I was heading various departments, like I was section head, the strategic business unit for the world's largest fabrication facility at Reliance Jamnagar, and which is a refinery and petrochemical base, and it has brought India onto the world map, and Jamnagar is right now the refining capital of the world. So after Reliance, I moved to, in 2008, I took a sabbatical from Reliance, and then I moved to various other companies to get the global exposure, what the world is comprised of, what type of different engineering, procurement and construction contractors are there into industrial construction and mega complex projects. So I have always provided my leadership to the world's best companies. Now either they are number 1, number 2 or number 3. No other companies I have worked in. So first being Reliance MRPL, then this Reliance Industries Limited. The market capitalization of Reliance Industries Limited today is 18 lakh crores, and I'll not be surprised. Rather, I'll be the growth engine for Reliance maybe in the year 2022 to take this company from $200 billion or rather $300 billion to $3 trillion, $3 trillion US dollar market capitalization. And then Reliance will be the most valuable company on planet Earth. Reliance will be the most valuable company on the planet Earth, beating Saudi Aramco, beating Apple, beating Facebook, beating ExxonMobil, and many other companies. It will be the most valuable company on planet Earth. Then from Reliance, I moved to L&T at Saudi Arabia, heading the contracts division, and from L&T, and then I moved to Fluor Daniel. Fluor. It's a world's third number EPC contractor. Bechtel, Fluor, JDC, Lurgi, Linde. These are the type of engineering, procurement and construction contractors, or rather they are also prime management contractors, PMCs, who provide the entire supervision in all phases of the project execution, that is engineering, procurement and construction. And I consider myself as a project leader, as a CEO, taking care of project construction in EPC business, that is engineering, procurement and construction business. I consider myself as a CEO, global CEO, where the scope consists of projects management, construction management, and of course commercial management, holding the PL responsibility, the profit and loss responsibility. My leadership consists of driving the PL, driving the profits, reducing the costs, and taking the entire organization into one knit family, and I would say entire company to a highly productive level by enthusiastically motivating each and every member, every contributing members. So basically all presidents and HODs report to me, all presidents and the respective HODs at head office as well as at site offices. So every week we have a weekly review meeting, and I chair those weekly review meetings in projects, construction and commercial. So basically contracting is also very interesting topic. Basically everything which the contracts move the entire the entire supply chain. The entire supply chain is moved by contractors, contracts. So it's a huge thing, contracting. And basically various type of contracts in public sector, in private sector are, are used are used to deliver mega size projects, complex projects, long gestation projects, and fast track projects. So now let me take you this video is basically an invitation which I am sending to all chairmen, managing directors, CEOs, vice presidents, presidents, proprietors, owners into any type of business, because this will affect the remuneration which you will receive in 2030. Because the business plan which I prepared for corporate India and for Mr. Modi, our beloved Prime Minister, and his cabinet ministers, I have invited them also at Courtyard Marriott on 31st October 2021, along with his cabinet, RBI Governor Mr. Shaktikant Das, and Niti Aayog CEO Mr. Amitabh Kant. So basically in this I will clear all their doubts that how I will change the world order and make India a superpower by 2030, and make India a superpower by 2030 by taking India's GDP to 30 trillion US dollar, number one position. Number two then will be USA with $25 trillion GDP, and China number three at 20 trillion US dollar. So basically I will change the world order and world will see this. Now let us come to the point. Let us come to the point that I have another in the same company, SKG Ventures. I have another business of portfolio management services where I am the chairman and managing director, global CEO. And I would like to say that there are many players in PMS who are in India where their performance has been, say, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett has grown his wealth and created his wealth at a rate of 18% CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, for consistent 70 years. And then coincidentally or rather planned, he became the world's richest man one time. Now Elon Musk is the world's richest. As you know, Tesla and SpaceX, his startup companies have really grown into mega size, ultra large companies, giga companies. So what I would like to stress upon is the fact that we have another business also under SKG Ventures, that is manpower supply, professional manpower supply. We supply engineers, doctors, MBA, CA, CEO, or managing director, or anybody for that matter, and the profession is engineering, doctor, MBA, business development, sales managers, or general manager sales, or any title for that matter, but basically blue collar jobs we provide across the globe, anywhere from Ahmedabad. The head office is same, Ahmedabad, for SKG Ventures. And then I have a third business, which is a real estate business, which is a realty business. So realty business is growing in Ahmedabad like anything. You can imagine the type of incentives which the property consultants are getting from builders like me is 2%. So if you crack a deal of 10 crores, you will get 20 lakhs as your incentive. And in a month, if you crack one deal, that is enough to earn maybe 2 CR. That is the type of market Ahmedabad is having in real estate. The buildings are world class. The builders, contractors, subcontractors are highly trained, skilled, and providing world class infrastructure. And then we will be another jewel in this real estate business at Ahmedabad. And we will be having our pan-India presence in 3 years from now, that is 2022, 3, 4. 2024, we will be having pan-India presence and we will be bringing the IPO for S Infrabuild, which will be a huge IPO for realty business. But our our idea to develop India just like on the lines of UAE, Dubai, or British countries, European designs. We will provide our buildings, commercial space, retail space, and give a British design or a European design or buildings aesthetically looking like Dubai buildings, which are the most beautiful buildings in the world, having unique presence in the realty sector. So we will be developing India just like Singapore or Dubai within a period of 10 years under this seminar which I am conducting and providing training to all cabinet ministers and PM Shri Narendra Modi ji, RBI governor. I will be solving their doubts, their questions. The question answer session will be there on 31st October 2021 at Ramdev Nagar Courtyard Marriott, Ramdev Nagar, Ahmedabad. So you all are invited, all are most welcome to attend. You may be a chairman, a director, a CEO, proprietor, president, vice president, anybody who is into business and interested in growing his business 10x over a period of 10 years. Then there are strategies and ways in which I will guide you, I will train you in those 5 hours. In those 5 hours, I will train all these young entrepreneurs or seasoned entrepreneur or matured entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who are having a large cap company but want to become ultra large cap companies. Basically, 10x growth means if a company is having a turnover of 300, say a turnover or a market cap or a valuation of 300 billion into 10 means 3000 billion means 3 trillion. So this is the effect which I will be providing to companies, to your companies also. If you are doing 100 crores business, by the end of 10 years or 9 years rather, by the end of 9 years, your company will be doing 1000 crores revenues. So these are very special strategies which I will be discussing for the business, for entrepreneurs and people, and for professionals who are into professional jobs, who are into management position, into senior management positions. So those things will be discussed. Now let us start. This is my brief introduction which I have given. I have many other profit centers and many other, just like Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, I have several profit centers, but these 3 are the profit growth for my organization headquartered at Ahmedabad. Now let us start the presentation. So basically what this presentation is named at is Transformation of Indian Inc. Transformation of Corporate India, Transformation of India, Transformation of Indian GDP from a meager $3 trillion to $30 trillion under the able guidance and leadership of global leader, the mightiest leader, Mr. Shailesh, who is highly professional and result oriented, and basically whatever I say, whatever I do, I say, and whatever I say, I do. This is my fundamental mantra for developing the businesses and for the entire life. I have been like that. Whatever I say, I do. Whatever I do, I say. So let us now start. Now, what is my mission? My mission is to make India the most powerful country on the planet Earth by 2030, a time-bound manner, and then by taking the Indian GDP from a meager $3 trillion to US $30 trillion. Then India will be the mightiest power on planet Earth, and leaving behind USA, China, Japan, France, or any other Russia or any other country. Excuse me. So, what is my vision? I want to make India the most powerful country on planet Earth and even more mightier than USA or China. So, what is that? Now, what is required for all this to make this transformation? It is not easy. For 75 years, many prime ministers, many leaders, many politicians have come and gone, but nobody could touch this feat of target, a massive target which I have taken myself. And I have taken a vow. I have taken a vow that I will transform India, corporate India, public sector companies, privatize them, and many more things I will implement on a fast track basis. Unlike the government has to work like a private company under my leadership, the government has to deliver results just like a private company. No bureaucracy, all bureaucrats have to be privatized. So let us begin with this. Now, what is required to achieve this? Basically, I would like to say, excuse me. So, how we can do this? I have devised a simple business plan, but this has to be implemented in time-bound manner, in accelerated mode, and all cabinet ministers should be interested and should understand this very clearly, implement these plans in their respective fields, in their respective ministries, and in their sectors of the economy. I and our beloved Prime Minister Shri Modi ji will monitor this plan on a weekly basis and take monthly reviews, expedite this process for this business plan. Because this business plan is the most important tool to deliver results, to make India a superpower, which I have envisaged a year back. Now, Mr. Modi ji, our beloved Prime Minister, also needs to show proactiveness into coming to meetings at Ahmedabad, at our 5-star hotels, and be a part of this journey. And he has basically to supervise the cabinet ministries and order them that whatever has been decided, once approved by myself and Mr. Modi ji, has to be implemented on fast track basis. Execution is the key. Execution is the key. But how much time this transformation will take? This business plan for India incorporation has to be implemented now. And within a year's time, we need to implement this in totality. And what all actions has to be taken on accelerated mode without any bureaucracy once this plan is approved, and let PM Modi ji empower the ministers to implement this business plan on decentralized basis. Just at Reliance, we were decentralized executive once a time. As general managers or vice presidents, we were decentralized executives. We were empowered to take decisions, whether be it small or big, but we were empowered. And this was driven by our Mr. Manoj Modi. He is also one of the director or CEO at Reliance, and he is right hand of Mr. Mukesh Ambani ji. So the decentralization was again driven by MM. We call him MM, Manoj Modi. Now, how we will do this? So we have to answer all 5 questions: when, how, who, where, and how. So how this will be done, how this transformation will be done. So how this $30 trillion will come to India as the Indian GDP by 2030. Now let us discuss the business plan by which we will understand how we are going to implement this, how we are going to execute this. During any procurement process activity, so this is a normal that during any procurement process we raise a purchase requisition, the budget has to be allocated and the money has to be arranged, funds has to be arranged in the treasury or in finance department, and then we add the technical specifications, commercial specifications, and give a proper budget after doing costing on first principle basis. So this is basically, then we call it a PR, the purchase requisition, and then bid tabulation are made after receiving all the bids. Techno-commercially accepted bidders are called for negotiations, and a contract or a purchase order is awarded in terms of respectively in terms of services or supply of or purchase of goods. For purchase of goods it is purchase order, and for purchase of services it is contracts or work order to the lowest technically accepted bidder. Right now, last week only the L&T chairman Mr. A.M. Naik was very disappointed by the way the Indian contracts are given by Indian government or private players just by looking the criteria that who is the lowest technically acceptable bidder. But actually, if you take this scenario in global terms or globally, then definitely there is a loading factor for the best contractors. We load the prices of other contractors, or rather we pay a premium over the lowest contractor to the best contractors globally, which in a way is right. But still I would like to say that as and when the technology, we embrace the latest technology for the mass production, then the cost of technology drastically reduces. And that's why I also advise Mr. A.M. Naik to be most competitive rather than asking for premiums. Because, of course, L&T deserves premium. But still, I feel that after so many years of his chairmanship, why L&T can't be cost competitive, why L&T can't be the most competitive globally when Indian engineers are available at a very low rates, very cheap price. Okay, we know that we require an infrastructure spend of 9 trillion. So this purchase process, I have explained you how this purchase process goes or a contract goes. So I would like to say that India is just like an unmarried person, and then when that person gets married, her wife demands for, let us say, infrastructure at home. So they ask for, the wife asks for fridge, TV, AC, beds, what all furniture, hard and soft furnishing that she requires on immediate basis. But this person, he is not having that much money. So what he do? This is very simple thing that you take a loan, and start EMI, that is equitable monthly installments to pay back the loan for a deferred payment period of say 10 years, 20 years, like this. So similarly, India, how they will arrange the fund and how they will set up all the infrastructure required like railways, airports, IITs, IIMs, or internal roads, repair and maintenance of internal roads, repair and maintenance of highways, privatization of railways, deploying new trains with a world-class facilities and cutting-edge technologies to ultra-modernize the railway stations and trains. So I have given a proposal to Mr. Ashwani Vaishnav. He is a good friend of mine, and he is the railway minister and information technology and broadcasting minister under Modi ji. So I have given this very good idea of privatizing the railway stations, putting them on lease for 100 years, 50 years, long-term lease, so that these public sector assets will be managed very well. And I can say you that government has miserably failed in maintaining the public assets. How I can say this? Excuse me. Now, how I can say this, that government has miserably failed in maintenance of public assets. You see the condition of internal roads in any city, in any town, in any metro. The condition is worst possible. Everywhere the holes are big, everywhere the potholes are there, every rain the potholes are there. And the condition is so drastic that every morning we give curse to Indian government that what is this condition when I am paying all taxes, when I am taxed at a rate of 30%, still that much money is going, but the internal roads, the normal basic minimum requirement which government has to fulfill has failed. Not only BJP government but Congress government also. No government could deliver these results. I am really shocked to notice this. For 75 years, all the governments have failed to provide a well-maintained annual contract has to be issued to L&T, to a contractor like L&T across India. Everywhere the internal roads, this is the top priority the government of India should be working on. So now we know that we require an infrastructure spend of 9 trillions, and I am aggressively taking, as per the government data, Niti Aayog data says it is 9 trillion US dollar has to be spent on infrastructure building, whereas I have taken a more aggressive 15 trillion US dollar has to be spent on infrastructure pipeline. And what this infrastructure consists of, I will just highlight on that. But this is not to cover all projects to be completed. So, and to make the Indian infrastructure better than USA, UAE, or China, or Singapore for that matter, and hence more aggressive figures of 15 trillion US dollar I have taken, because we need to do a lot in infrastructure sector. Then only we can be a world power. Then only the productivity of our people, our business entrepreneurs will increase, the businesses will become easy, ease of doing business will increase, and we need to jumpstart this infrastructure spend once the financing has been lined up. Now, where this money of 15 trillion US dollar will be coming, I have just given an example of a young boy getting married, and then he arranges a finance by having a loan arrangement, a financing arrangement. Bajaj Finance give all consumer loans, and it is a monopoly business. There is only one leader in consumer finance, Bajaj Finance. We know the world's largest financing institutions. So we can go to the world's largest financial institutions, but for your kind knowledge, I was again shocked to notice that 7 out of 10 banks are Chinese mega banks, which are the top biggest, having the largest assets under management with them. So India needs to privatize this bank. There is no question about this. And regarding privatization, already I have advised Mr. Modi 2 years back, or rather 3 years back, that all public sector assets has to be privatized. There is no business of government to be in business. The business of government, what is the business of government? The government has to be taking care of Army, Navy, Air Force, providing good education to Indians, and making more and more IITs. Why not 1,000 IITs? Why not 5,000 IITs, 5,000 IIMs? We need that infrastructure. We need that money to spend. And this money has to be arranged from the banks, world's greatest or biggest financial institutions. Just like we tied up a loan for bullet train. Why not for all these infrastructure requirements? we can tie up. The first bank, which is the world's largest industrial and commercial bank of China, the China Construction Bank. Second number, Agriculture Bank of China, JP Morgan Chase, HSBC, and BNP Paribas, Citigroup USA, and Japan Post Bank. These are the top 10 banks which are having the largest assets under management. They are in some 4,000 trillions to 3,000 trillions to 1,800 trillions. The worth of assets they have managed so far, right from scratch to as of now. So we can always contact these banks, but what type of loan it will be? It will be a long-term loan of 30 years with a deferred payment starting the EMI from 10th year, so that for 10 years we have no load of repaying after 10th year, and then we will go to the countries who are having negative interest rates, and just like our good friend Japan. So we can go to these countries and arrange the finance where the finance cost will be less than 1% per annum. So why not take huge loans? Japan has taken, can you imagine Japan, what is the GDP of Japan is 5 trillion and Japan has taken 15 trillion loan. That is 5x of the GDP. So similarly, what I suggest, India India is a $3 trillion economy and 5 times. So Japan is 25 trillion US dollar worth of external loans, debts. Japan has taken to develop the infrastructure in the country, to jumpstart the infrastructure in the country, and develop good Indian banks like we can do, and then we can develop the largest Indian banks, the largest engineering procurement and construction companies, the largest cement factories of the world, the largest steel factories of the world, and then we can use these industries to export to the globe. And with the latest technology machines, when we are by taking this 15 trillion loan, our machines will produce world-class products which are 100% exportable, and will be having a much higher technology than what China has today, because even Chinese technology is 10 years old. But whereas now if we start, India will be the world's most ultra modern technology embracing country in the globe. So now the financing has been arranged. We will pay the loans after 11 years, starting the EMI, and there will be no load presently. So the government has arranged the funds. The purchase requisitions has to be made. Now what these purchase requisitions are and how will we do, I will be just elaborating on that. So now the financing has been arranged, and then we start executing the project on lightning speed. As the projects have already been identified by some agency or institution of government, that is National Projects Pipeline, Balance Project I will list in order for India to become a 30 trillion US dollar economy by 2030. Second action is to monetize all assets. Now how will we do is, I am advising that we should monetize all assets of the government within 6 months at any rate possible, by providing all the value additions which the private sector company will be putting in. So we must monetize all these assets within next 6 months, and I want to sell all these assets of government to the national or international companies who have cash in hand, 100% cash payments within 30 days. I don't mind selling them to Indian companies or international companies, or even if the government wants to keep a stake of 10% and sell 90% stake to private player, then also there will be a value unlocking for these companies, and these companies will become 10x over a period of 10 years. So I have calculated the market capitalization of each and every company, and the assets which are public sector assets, the land banks, the highways, e-ways, and all these infrastructure which India has so far developed till 2021. The valuation of, or the market cap of all these companies and comes around 25 lakh crores, which is equal to one Indian budget. So if we sell this in a time-bound manner, like Government of India and Modi ji is doing 6 lakhs crores per annum worth of privatization, which is totally wrong. We must not do this. The entire purpose, the sole purpose of why privatization is to be done is defeated by this partially privatizing for 5 years, 10 years. We must not do this. We should sell all these assets at any cost. I am telling you again, at any cost, still we will get 25 lakh crores. And this 25 lakhs crore over a period of 10 years, when it goes in the hands of private sector company doing management, the private sector management, the corporate management will be private, and the people, workers, staff, staff and all these employees will be the same employees, but they will deliver a 10x result, because once this monitoring comes, once this private sector monitoring, the PL handling, the profit and loss responsibility drives the productivity of these organizations, and over a period of 10 years these will become 10x, and this 25 lakh crores will become 250 lakh crores, which is equal to 3.5 trillion US dollar. So this money, by the end of 2022, we can start spending on huge infrastructure requirements, which are the top priority for the country, to reduce the logistic cost. Presently, the logistic cost is around 15%, which is too high. Internationally, it is 5%. The logistic cost should not increase by more than 5%. So once these companies are sold to private companies, the management of private companies will bring in the top talent in those companies and will manage these companies as world-class assets with best benchmarking practices. So I can give you an example that Mr. Anil Agarwal, he is the chairman of Vedanta Group, Kane Energy and many other companies. So he has bought Hindustan Zinc at say 1 lakh crores, and after privatization and after his management controls, the company has grown to 10 lakh crores. The valuation of company has grown to 10 lakh crores after privatization after 10 years. So this has given a 10x effect. So definitely we will get 3.5 trillion US dollar. Now what these assets to be monetized are airports, so that these become world-class airports like Mumbai and Delhi airport, which are privatized now or on lease, given on lease or privatized totally. They are a world-class asset, equal to any airport in the world you compare, they are the best. Railways. Similarly, I have asked Ashwani Vaishnaw, the railway minister and the information and technology and broadcasting minister, that this privatization of railways is must. We Indian deserves the world-class railway stations at least after 75 years of independence, and we don't deserve these type of railway stations. So the government has to act, has to work, has to execute these projects, and they have to monetize, they have to privatize these railway stations, so that there will be trains, let us say trains run by Adani, Ambani, or Birla, Tata, Siemens, Alstom and whatnot. Whosoever is interested in running IRCTC for that matter. So we should get private players in the railways, and the train should be privatized or leased, given on lease for 50 years, 100 years, so that we get world-class infrastructure now, today, maybe 6 months or 1 year. All these private players will be in place, and India will be a shining place just like any other country in the world, a developed country in the world. Then we need to privatize seaports, highways, e-ways, highways, roads, internal roads. The internal roads, we give curse to the government every day because of the potholes everywhere in the internal roads in the cities, towns and metros. Then all government schools has to be privatized. Electricity board, the power plant has to be privatized. The steel plants have to be privatized. The banks have to be privatized. Insurance company like LIC has to be privatized, and all the public sector companies or government land parcels, telecom, towers, all these assets have to be privatized. And nuclear power companies like hydropower, solar power, nuclear power companies, hydropower, solar power, metal companies, and in short, government has all the companies of the government or into public sector has to be sold, has to be privatized, That is the only solution for brightening India, for making India shine again. Like in 1817 and 18th century, we were having the one third of the global business, that is 35% of the GDP was 35% of the total global GDP was Indian export, Indian business, Indian businesses. People were entrepreneurs then, and 17th and 18th century, and we were a very rich country then. And I know I hate Britishers because the East India Company from Britain, from Great Britain came to India and looted 45 trillion USD worth of gold, gems, jewelries and various assets. And then when they left our economy, our global business, our share of global business was just 3%. It's just 3% now, which is very, very low. What I expect from government, a superb willpower to implement this plan which has been developed by me. What I expect from Mr. Narendra Modi is that he should have a superb willpower to implement my golden plan for India, the transformative plan for India. Okay, then the privatization is the only way to become world power and the superpower, the mega power, the mightiest on the planet. The total FDI across globe in 2019 was 1.5 trillion US dollar. The foreign direct investment is 1.5 trillion per year, every year, and if we have the ease of doing business. So many people, many chairmen, directors and senior management people ask me what India needs to do to become a superpower. Then I can answer Modi ji that there is only one thing you need to do, and that is to get the ease of doing business ranked number one globally for India. So you should not do anything for 1 year and just concentrate. Give a contract to Deloitte, KPMG or any management consultancy firm who are into digital transformation. Digitize all government departments it will take not more than 6 months or a year's time to give a digital transformation to India, where all government departments and all approvals, statutory, regulatory, everything will be digitized by the end of 2022. So by 2023, India will have an ease of doing business ranked globally number one. And once this is done, then I can assure you, Modi ji, that the foreign direct investment, the foreign portfolio investors will come in cats and dogs. It will be raining cats and dogs, and we will be getting investment worth of $15 trillion in 10 years, because average FDI is 1.5 trillion per year. So for 10 years it is 15 trillion. So this 15 trillion, India can attract at least 10 trillion from this global share. And then presently we are 3 trillion I am giving you by this privatization, 3.5, so it becomes 6.5, or rather say 7 trillion. 7 plus 10 I am giving by this FDI, by the ease of doing business number one ranked globally within 1 year. So 7 plus 10, 17. So Indian GDP will become $17 trillion by the end of 2030. Now, what is the other way? We have taken the loans, so we are indebted. We are debted. So now the other way in which the finance or funds can be arranged for corporate India, or rather for government of India, is to print money. That is called helicopter money. Now this helicopter money is printing rupees, or as economists say, cheap money equivalent to 15 trillion US dollars should be printed at lightning speed in the year, from the year 2022 to 2030. Indian rupees worth $15 trillion has to be printed in high currency notes Even if we have to make currency of 5,000 rupees single note or 10,000 rupees single note, we have to do it. Because this printing is also not an easy task and it is time bound task. With this money in hand, government will float companies with a PPP model. Now the money has been printed by the, say, let us say 15 trillion has to be printed and to be used for infrastructure spend. Then in 10 years period, so every year we will print 1.5 trillion. Now this 3.5 earlier and 1.5 this, so 6 trillion, 5 trillion. 5 trillion is available for creation of huge and massive infrastructure for India, to make India ultra modern country, to make India like just like UAE, Dubai, Singapore, Malaysia or USA, European country. So even any European country also. So with this money in hand, government will float companies. Government will float companies with the government share of 20% and 80% private player. Just like Maruti Suzuki, say government is having 20% stake and Suzuki is having 80% stake. So what government has to invest is a very little amount, but still these will be the Indian companies for Indian users in India. And India will be able to get technology in this manner only, by motivating the Indian entrepreneurs to do joint ventures. So joint ventures is the only solution on PPP model, public-private partnership. And these public sector companies should be such cash cows who should earn not less than $100 billion revenue. So only those players has to be selected so that they can expand the business in 10 years and take these companies to the world-class companies in every sector like steel, metals, commodities or chemicals, petrochemicals, refineries, oil and gas, FMCG or any other company for that matter. So where the government will invest this 20% in, the government will invest in latest technology. So this latest technology, latest design and futuristic designs, technology business like now this money, other this 20% PPP model, the money will be invested in latest technologies, in the latest projects, in the green energy, say green hydrogen, solar panel, 3D printing, lithium ion batteries, battery storage system, and even in the regular brick and mortar companies like cement, steel, bitumen, and in each and every commodities. Why I am saying this? Because what happens, many economists like Raghuram Rajan, Manmohan Singh, or even economists like Gopinath, what is the name is Gopinath, Gita Gopinath. When I question them that what is the harm in printing money, they say that the value of money will reduce and it will cause a huge inflation. But how I, as a global leader, many economists report to me, many chartered accountants reports to me, and many engineering, procurement and construction company chairmen are my good friends. I told them, I give an antidote to them that when the big money chases a few commodities, the prices of those commodity increases and there is a inflation in that country. But we are not doing that. What we are doing and what I am advising and what parallelly what we are doing is that first thing, we are spending on infrastructure. Now what goes into infrastructure is cement, steel, bitumen. Cement, steel, bitumen. So these are the commodities which are going in infrastructure spend. Or say some stones and sand and all these things are going into infrastructure. So parallelly we will build the capacities of these factories, steel, cement and bitumen. Parallelly we will increase the capacity, and once we increase the capacity for this, then the huge money will be chasing a huge capacity. So in effect it will neutralize the effect, and the big money will not be chasing fewer commodities, but it will be chasing big commodities, huge commodities, so that there is no inflation. So let us do it, let us print money, let us print money, let us print it. The price of these commodities will in fact reduce, and there will be deflation, and we will become the lowest producer of all business commodities in the world. Then we can export all these commodities from India to the globe. And with this, our vision of seeing India as a world factory and make in India for the world will be achieved. When Singapore Prime Minister came, he told Mr. Modi that you make in India but for the world. Mass scale, economies of scale. Then only India can be competitive. Use latest machines, technologies, embrace latest technologies. That is what Mr. Mukesh Ambani has been doing all these years. And he has created a wealth unbelievable wealth. We have created unbelievable wealth, because I was also part of leadership at Reliance Jamnagar. Up till now, Indian economy would be so 17 trillion plus another 15, you add 15, 30 and to 32 trillion. So now the Indian economy becomes 32 trillion, because we are now adding 15 trillion, pumping 15 trillion into infrastructure, massive infrastructure spend to make India equivalent of a country like USA, China, Dubai or Singapore. So we will be the world-class infrastructure. A lot has to be. So, and then again, I have proposed one proposal to Shri Mukesh Ambani to make this Reliance a $3 trillion company by 2031. The business plan for that is also ready. So by another 32 plus another 3 will be added by Reliance, so it becomes 35. So 35 trillion whereas I have committed only 30 trillion So that is 5 trillions is for contingency. So now again, parallelly, what we have to do in infrastructure is we have to develop the tourism. We need to spend big money in tourism sector in India, and first make India at least like UAE, as aesthetic as Dubai, and the whole country within 9 years, and we may spend only 3 trillions to do that, but revenues will be to the tune of 9 trillion after 2031 to 2040. So every year we will be adding 1 trillion as our income from tourism. Once India, a huge country, a giant country, will be having infrastructure just like Dubai, and as neat as Singapore, as neat as automated as USA, or as vast as China. Now, up till now, by then 2040, our Indian economy will be $35 trillion, whereas I have committed only $30 trillion. Now, construction project, the global construction project construction happening in construction sector across the world is $1.5 trillion per year. Say 15 trillion for 10 years. So out of this 15 trillion, if we take 5 trillion, then 35 plus 5, the Indian economy becomes 40 trillion, because then we will be having world-class engineering, procurement and construction players like L&T, who will be 10x from now. So they will be number 1, number 2 or number 3 EPC companies in the world. Parallelly, we will be developing the capacities of all industries, all subsidiaries in PPP mode. What I give a mantra to government to do PPP, which is the most successful way, whether it be bank, a public sector company, or anything for that matter, or also privatization is the best. Now, global pension funds. So wow. We have reached to $40 trillion. Now, global pension fund worth 32 trillion are investing in 2020 In emerging economies where the rate of returns are highest, the ease of doing business, number one country. So when we get India ease of doing business ranked number one globally, we will be getting at least 50% of this 32 trillion. So 16 trillion again will add from these global funds, global pension funds, which will be investing in India. And until now, Indian GDP has become 40 plus 16, 56 trillion. 56 trillion US dollar, whereas I have committed only 30 trillion dollar. Now, on the parallel side, we need to do exploration, where we need to spend this money, which is left after spending on, say, 15 trillion on infrastructure. The balance 15 trillion we need to spend on, a part of it has to be spent on exploration. India has explored only 10% till now. We will bring in biggest contractors, international contractors on profit sharing method, and deploy best contractor to do exploration of all natural resources like gold, silver, copper, steel, ores, crude, LNG, zinc and others. We can get another 1 trillion US dollar from business. So up till now, our Indian economy becomes 40 plus 1 trillion every year for 10 years, 40 plus 10, 50 trillion US dollar. But we can't add this because this will be after 2030. So let us say it is 40 trillion US dollar. Now, where and how much we need to spend on creating world-scale factories with latest cutting-edge technologies catering to the global needs. So basically, I have envisaged some purchase requisitions. What are those requisitions? What are those infrastructure requirements? What India will need after 2030 to 2040. After 2030, we must have. What we must have is power plant, 1000 gigawatt capacity, 1 trillion US dollar will be spent on that. Infrastructure, 5 trillion US dollar, that is the roads, highways, ports, bridges, dams, 5 trillion US dollar. Cement and steel plant, 1000 MMTPA, 1000 million metric tons per annum. So 1 trillion US dollar will spend on cement and steel plant to make our capacities bigger, so that parallelly we develop capacity and inflation does not happen. Mobile factories. The entire digital economy is based on mobile, and even I have heard that companies like huge Leapfrog and Frog and Lollipop, they are into digital transformation of everything and putting all services and goods manufacturing into the mobile app-based services. Just by clicking an app, you can control the process industry, the chemical industry, the production data. All these things is the latest technology which these companies like Happiest Mind and Root Mobile, who has just launched the IPO, are doing it. So let us do it. Defense factories, mobile factory, defense factories of 1 trillion US dollar. On defense factories, India can be a net exporter of defense products, but it has to spend 1 trillion on this. Making India aesthetic, beautiful and as good as Singapore, we need to spend 3 trillion US dollar. Education, we need to stress very high on education. Why not develop 5,000 IITs and 5,000 IIMs and 5,000 AIMs in India? Put 1 trillion allocation, budget allocation to them. Healthcare, this is the most neglected, is the healthcare sector, where very few private players are there and rest all are government hospital, and you know what is the position at government hospital is very pathetic. So let government spend 1 trillion US dollar on healthcare. Then new smart cities. On the name of new smart cities, we have heard only that smart cities are coming, but we have not seen new smart cities. So actually 1 trillion US dollar has been allocated for actual realization of smart cities. Housing for all, no slums. Housing for all, no slums. We need to really spend 1 trillion US dollar. Existing city modernization and say maintenance contract to L&T or a contractor equivalent to L&T for internal roads for 30 years, so that we never curse the government. Every common man in India is cursing the present day government, the past day government, because the internal roads were not maintained, because the public sector assets were not maintained, because the railways were not maintained, because the airports were not maintained. Now let's do privatization. Modi ji, let us do it. Let us privatize it. Let us make world-class infrastructure available now, not on a long gestation period. I want results now. Now, one mega digital bank. We need to create one mega digital bank so that the capitalization requirement is 3 trillion US dollar and make the world's biggest bank in India, which can actually accelerate the project execution by arranging the finance seamlessly. Agriculture. On agriculture has a huge potential. Presently, the productivity is very low. There is low mechanization, there is low automation, and there is a shortage of water all 12 months. Water is available only during rains, during the monsoons. So we need to develop agriculture. We need to spend 1 trillion US dollar and bring in the latest technologies and the latest best practices across the globe, which are doing this. So let us bring in the latest technology, automation and mechanization. So the total investment in all these things which I have said is 27 trillion US dollar, but government will invest only 20%, which is only 5.4 trillion, which is very much available when we have taken 15 trillion from loan and 15 trillion from helicopter money, that is printing. Transformation. All of this we have to initiate simultaneously today. Arrange finance worth $15 trillion, raise purchase requisitions, raise requirement for infrastructure, raise purchase orders, contracts and purchase order award by at least July 2022, and all projects to kick start by 2022 and project completion by 2031. These are long, high gestation period projects which are called infrastructure project. But how will this be achieved? This will be achieved only if one condition is fulfilled, and that is getting ranked number one for ease of doing business for India and in starting new businesses. We have seen that government is doing this by captive ideas or by national agencies, but they have failed miserably as per me. They have succeeded in improving the rank, but this is still a failure, because in one shot I can make within 6 months by giving a contract to Deloitte, say 9,000 crore contract to Deloitte, KPMG or EY, Ernst & Young, or any international management contractor, international management consultant who can digitize India. All public sector departments to be digitized in India, and all records available to be digitized, all approvals to be digitized, all regulatory approval, statutory approval, in all the 9 criteria for ease of doing business has to be attained by this Deloitte in a time-bound manner, and by 2022 India must get ranked number one on ease of doing business. That is the only work which Mr. Modi is supposed to do, because everything else will take shape under my leadership. Modus operandi, and even I can do that within 6 months. Modus operandi. Now, multiple contractors for this project to be awarded, like KPMG, Deloitte, EY, Boston, Baines Consultancy, BCG, and they will all discuss and make common electronic form for the use for each area within 3 months time. And once the e-forms are ready, training will be given to all officers for 3 months, and forms will be ready for public use, and this shall become a system. As Dubai is totally digitized. There is no manual forms to be filled. It is all to be filled in computer, in e-forms. All are e-forms. The various criteria. Singapore, same thing. China, USA, everywhere digitized. So India is just 1% digitized today. And what I want is 99% more to be digitized on exponential fast progress in an accelerated mode by all government departments. Now, a budget of, say, I can even allocate a 50,000 crore budget for mobilizing such agencies who will set in the system, make the system ready, and then new businesses should not take more than 15 days to get all approvals and start the business physically, which is the hindrance right now, that even after 6 months also, the foreigners, the foreign direct investors, the foreign portfolio investor are not sure whether we'll be able to start the business in India. What policy changes are there everywhere? There is a mess around this ease of doing business. So let us streamline this. Appointing top management. So now this 50,000 crore include expenses on appointing top management staff of consultancy agencies at various government departments like who will give construction permits, getting electricity and many more. All the 9 criteria for ease of doing business. Now what? Let us understand what is this ease of doing business. Excuse me. Yeah, let's continue. Ease of doing business criteria. So basically there are 9 criteria, that is construction permits, how much time it takes to deliver construction permit. These are presently taking a lot of time in getting these permits, approvals in all these regulatory, statutory, all these things. And the ease of doing business on these 9 criteria is very low, which we need to jumpstart now and get it on accelerated mode, digitized forms, digital transformation. So what are these criteria? As the construction permits, getting electricity, trading across borders, paying taxes, resolving insolvency, enforcing contracts, starting a new business, getting credit, and protecting minority investor and registering property, the revenues. So now, as I know that even after 75 years, we don't have a one mega bank, a 1 giga bank in India, who is number 2 or 3 globally, or why not number 1 globally, and we Indians get loans at 2% as in USA, as in other countries. Why not we get finance at say 3%, 4%? For any business, for becoming an entrepreneur, why not? Let us do it. Let us make such mega bank with a $3 trillion capitalization, so that each and every project, a person who doesn't want to do service, he can be an entrepreneur. At least 1 lakh people or more will be required to this humongous task, and projects and rupees 50,000 crore will include all these contracts values. All these contract value. People will be required at development authorities, municipalities, all SEBs, all Exim department, income tax department, NCLT, dispute resolution mechanism, IBC department, SURFACE department, then fast track courts, banks for getting easy credit, and at SEBI. SEBI is almost digitized, but still we need a lot of development and improvement. And all registrar offices across India, GIFT City, and all stock exchanges like BSE and NSE. The team will do for one city and replicate this Deloitte or KPMG or Ernst & Young or BCG or Boston Consulting Group. The team will do for one city and replicate for all other mega cities, all other major cities, and this project will have to have total 6 months project schedule, hence most resources are required in a shorter period of time. Thus I have allocated rupees 50,000 crores for this project, which need to be spent on lightning speed. Now the global debt, let us understand some facts. What are the various facts in this finance industry or in this globe? How the economies are moving of different countries like USA, China, and all other countries. The global debt across all sectors is 255 trillion US dollar, whereas India can definitely take a meager 15 trillion US dollar to jumpstart mega projects, mega mobilization of highly skilled contractors with cutting edge technologies. And today India is having 15 crore unemployed workforce, which does not have jobs. These young guys, graduates, which will become productive force in these mega projects. India need to develop its export of services and goods and I have given a target of 4 trillion US dollar to government of India to export 2 trillion US dollar worth of goods and 2 trillion US dollar worth of services. Let us focus. If we are best in services, why not do export services? And why not make services $3 trillion and goods $1 trillion? No problems. We can do it. Let us do it. Interest rates. Now, if these 15 crore people are not utilized in productive projects, companies, they will create a social problem to India. Interest rates to further reduce to 2% per annum so that anyone can take loan and spend on infrastructure, on any business development, or his setting up a business for himself. All taxes to be abolished, and instead apply 10% tax on all finished goods and services. Just on the finished product, when you go to purchase, include a 10% tax, and that will suffice. Rest, because we have 3 trillion US dollar in the most capitalized bank of India. So then we need to spend on skill development center to operate on PPP. Government is spending 20% and 80% is spent by private players. 15 crore job creation. This is the fact sheet. We need to create 15 crore job for these young graduates. So the service industry will flourish, because India is having this gender dividend as well as age dividend. 15 crore. Labor reforms has to be done, IBC reforms has to be done, waste management reforms, incinerator plant in each city. So the country is neat and clean. Renewable energy to be exponentially grown. So the renewable energy share has to grow by 2030 to 1000 gigawatt. And by 2025, 80% of power by renewables and 20% fossil or gas. Every budget will have short-term benefit. I advise Mr. Modi ji that every budget should have short-term benefits for all population up to middle class, so that we understand the importance of what government is doing. Housing for all by 2024, and to increase manufacturing sector, make in India for the world for 750 crore people. So we must have, say, our new capacities for steel, cement, bitumen, or any commodities, and what you call FMCG, or any other sector industry. We need to think about the latest technologies, about 750 crore people, so that things are exportable to them, and India become a global factory for the world, just like China is today. So we can become for next 50 years. And as Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala very well says this, that the next 100 years, he says the next 10 years are for India, whereas I say the next 100 years are for India. India will shine and become global power by 2030 under my business plan, under my leadership, under my global leadership, under my able leadership. So Modi ji, let us do it. Business development and to increase manufacturing, housing. So now all factories after 2030 will be having a capacity for exporting to 750 crore people of the globe. We will be a global factory, and a business development team for selling product from these mega factories under consulting agency like KPMG and Deloitte has to be contracted. So the contracts is everything. All statutory forms to be made e-forms for environment, labor and land clearance. KPMG Deloitte will do business development and get FDI for India. FDI investors should be able to start a new business in 15 days of registering at single window clearance system. This is the most important point, Modi ji, that we want KPMG and Deloitte, they will do the business development and get FDI, foreign direct investment. Investors should be able to, and the new investor should be able to start a business in 15 days of registering at single window clearance system. quality to be improved, and all industries to have ISO 9000, 2000 or Six Sigma practices or customer delight practices, then the products can be exported from India, making Six Sigma Training Institute certifying company on PPP model, 10% or say 20% government and 80% private. They will convert all industries into Six Sigma compliant. Policy stability for next 10 years. Whether it be Congress, whether it BJP, let us continue the same policies and do value addition only on those policies. But do not take a U-turn on these policies. Real-time solution for every problem. Real-time solutions for every problem has to be there, because we will be having a digital economy, we will be having a digital transformation. All our services and goods will be at the tip of our mobile phone, Monetize all assets, including land of government, at one shot, not gradual selling as government is doing. 6 lakh crore per annum, which is totally impermissible. Use this money for infrastructure creation, which become revenue earning assets for long term. Bring in a government of India tax-free bond with 7% return for next 20 years, so that people saving can be invested in infrastructure. Then invest in industry 4.0. By 2031, the revenue will increase. IBC resolution, 20,000 professionals are required, Modi ji, whereas presently today there are no more than 100 IBC resolution experts. RERA is good. RERA is doing wonders for real estate, and all court cases to be resolved, and courts should be on real-time basis. Decision in 1 month for all cases, whether business cases, revenue, crime, or anything. And 1 lakh more judges to be appointed to get real-time justice, and courts to run on 24 hours basis. Round the clock, courts should run. So thanks everybody. If you have any question and answers, definitely you are most welcome at Courtyard Marriott on 31st October to ask me any question, to raise any question. I will solve your doubts there and then. Even I have asked Mr. Shaktikant Das and Mr. Amitabh Khan and all cabinet ministers whatever doubt they have, that how this 30 trillion. So basically we reached to around 41 trillion. So let us say 11 trillion is just a contingency things where things doesn't work, few things may not work, but then still we have a high risk to reward, and we will be reaching definitely 30 trillion. If not 41 trillion, we will be reaching to 35 trillion by 2030, and we will become a global superpower, so that I have proven that I can change the world order. Mr. Shailesh Gandhi, the world leader, the global leader, can change the world order and make India a superpower #1 by having a GDP of 30 to 35 trillion US dollar by the year 2030. Thanks everybody, thanks for your time, thanks for watching, and you are most welcome on 31st October from 11 AM to 5 PM at Courtyard Marriott, Ramdev Nagar, Ahmedabad. Till then, see you, bye bye. Thanks.